You know what is one of the most annoying traits that someone has? Apart from humming to themselves. Just shut the fuck up. You're not as good as the actual song. But something else that's just as annoying is when somebody overestimates how awesome they are. Don't you think the most annoying human beings you ever meet are people that say, I've got my shit together better than everybody else. I'm even the kid in primary school. I'm better at jumping than you are. I'm better at singing than you are. Oh wait, we'll just go back to humming again. Look, obviously, I find that annoying, and I'm just bringing that up and being like, you can relate, right? But basically, people that overestimate their abilities. Nothing on earth is more irritating than that. Pure arrogance. Pure arrogance. You speak to someone, don't you think that it registers in the back of your mind and you think, no? And I think that that is a survival technique, because if you see reality and then somebody is saying that, oh, yeah. The reason that I got away from the Mongols is because I'm super fast. It had nothing to do with the fact that I shat myself and hid in the barn and threw my own baby out to chuck out as a decoy. Like, as soon as you register that, you think, no. It's another form of not being able to trust someone. Trust being the destroyer of all relationships. But when you see that somebody in their own mind is that deluded that they are overestimating their abilities, you retreat. Now, we all do it. In fact, the evidence shows, I think it was something along the lines, it was a really hilarious result, but it was pretty much like you ask people, are you a good driver? And I think 95% of people are like, yeah, I'm sick. I'm better than the average person at driving. Are you good at fighting? Yeah, of course I am. Anything you ask anyone ever, they're always like, yeah, I'm the best. If I'm not the best, I'm definitely better than average. It is the sign of somebody who is ignorant. It is the exact opposite of the Delphic Oracle. Those people do not know themselves, and I rail against it. Frankly, that's my 2 cents. I think that you should be very measured and rational all the time, like every other internet commentator online who's talking about rationality and is clearly just as irrational as their audience. But I, as a practice, because I'm better than the average person, obviously, am always trying to remind myself of this one quote. How good is this? You are able to set yourself free once you admit that you have no special advantage. Write it down. You are able to set yourself free when you admit that you have no special advantage. That is the special advantage in life, because so few people are willing to admit that they suck at anything. Even if you've been doing something for 10 years, at some point you think, okay, all right, look, yes, I mean, the results speak for itself. I'm better than that person. And yes, as we've discussed before, you are born with natural traits that you are better at, and I highly recommend that you go towards doing them. But even in that situation, when you recognize that you have a trait that is better than the average person and you are pursuing it, I still think you should take the view that you are, some little like teacher me mystery Paris for the rest of your life. Because arrogance seeps in this idea that I'm already number one, so why try harder? The fat guy on Fat Boy Slim? Isn't that perfect? I'm already number one, so why try harder when I weigh 400 kilos? It is the way that most people see themselves. Most people in their minds delude themselves into, yeah, I'm just better than everyone, frankly. And obviously, everybody hates that. I think the tall poppy syndrome is not just conducive to Australia, although here we have made an identity out of just being like, he thinks he's better than everyone. Quick, everybody act like those little people in Gulliver's Travels. So it doubly doesn't work in Australia. But if you are able to keep that in mind, and the reason that I was thinking about this recently is because I've been reading an investment book, and in the investment book they say that one of the major key reasons as to why people do bad in the stock market, even though there is tried and true methods, which is really just putting your money in index funds and index bonds, yeah? So you just get yourself a little pie chart. In fact, if anybody thinks that this is a bad idea, let me know, because I'm very new to the idea of investing as an idea. It's even a concept. I've always just been like, but that's for them smart people in Wall Street, what with their suits and ass cheeks that haven't been burned by a cattle brander. And so I don't know if this is correct, but it sounds correct, which is that when everybody sees the little graph going up, they all invest. That pushes it up a little bit further, but then obviously the stock max out, then it goes down, and then those people go, oh, fuck, it's going down, and then they sell it, and they... Because that's just how the human brain works. Everybody thinks that they're really rational and they're going to be this genius investor, or that they're this, so charismatic and so good with women, or all of that stuff, right? What plays into people's minds is actually they end up buying the stock for much more than it should be and then selling the stock for much less than it should be. Instead of just doing, as Warren Buffett says, the stock market in general is just about money transferring from the impatient to the patient. Now, one of the major biases being, I am special because I've never looked outside of my own reality ever, so I'm just seeing everything through my own eyes, and therefore I must be the greatest human being of all time because that's all I know. And so everybody just thinks that they're just like, they've read one article on CNBC, which is designed to sucker you of your money. Anyway, they buy that stock, it goes down. Whereas on average, if you just invest in index funds and look at it once a year and just to rebalance your portfolio, which is exactly like, how everybody knows that cliche of buy low, sell high. Well, if you're just investing in index funds and you've got a shares portfolio, theoretically, this is a really basic shares portfolio, but say that it's just, 60% stocks, 40% bonds, and you keep to that commitment. So your little pie chart is always 40% bonds and 60% stocks, and you look at it a couple of times a year. What you do is you just balance it out. So if the bonds are now at 45% and the stocks are at 55%, you sell 5% of the bonds and you buy 5% more stocks. So naturally, you are forcing yourself just by doing that to buy low and sell high. It's obviously a massive oversimplification, but at the same time, I think that's the whole thing. Like, for the average person, investing should be really simple, and you shouldn't just go down this network hole of a bunch of Reddit sites that you don't understand, and then, you just go, just give me the gist of it. Okay, invest in tritium, whatever the fuck that is, cool. I think it's some kind of nuclear waste, actually. So invest in that. That's my hot stock tip on Jordan Shanks. But the thing that you should notice when you go into anything, and this is the thing that endlessly angers me online as well, it is when somebody is obviously, because, look, I'm sorry, but I've been focusing on politics obsessively for the last 10 years. I'm going to know someone more than someone who's just like, words of the same, wings of the same bird, I'm going to know more than that person. But the whole thing is, it goes into that Dunning-Kruger effect thing of the less you know, the more you think you know. But if you are able to just identify this, first up, the way that you get rid of the Dunning-Kruger effect and the way that you actually improve your relationships dramatically is by just admitting to yourself that you have no special skills, no special advantage, no special knowledge. That any knowledge, any advantage that you have is hard-earned. Unless you can say in your mind, and not just because of character traits, that what you have is hard-earned, then what you are suffering from is delusion. Now, if you want to know tips of how to get that rock-solid foundation so that you actually are better than everybody else ever, sign up to Jordan Shanks. 2 extra videos a week. You can sign up for less than petrol these days. Topical. And as a result, you are investing in yourself. There is nothing in history. You tell me if there's anything that is going to be as valuable as that teeny investment for such a large return. I'm going to be instilling in you the basic habits that you need to learn over and over again, that if somebody is reminding you, hey, dumbass, when you get up, think about how grateful you are. Don't admit to yourself. Admit to yourself now, yeah, I've heard it before. But I bet you woke up this morning going like, I hate my boss, and that was your first thought. Wrong answer. Why do you suck at everything? Why do I have to drag you out of the mud? If you pay me $5. Otherwise, you just stay in the mud, enjoy it. Roll around, piggy.